where hundreds of people had gathered for the making of a music video, according to local media reports who cited police. The shooting occurred around 7 p.m. local time in Bunny Friend Park in the city's Upper Ninth Ward. The Times-Picayune newspaper quoted New Orleans Police Superintendent Michael Harrison as saying he believed multiple people had fired into the crowd of more than 300. The newspaper quoted him as saying, "I can't speak to the condition of all the victims, but no one has died at this time." 3 witnesses told the Times-Picayune they saw a man with what they believed to be a silver-colored machine gun and also heard more gunshots coming from within the crowd as he ran away. New Orleans Police Department spokesman Tyler Gamble told the New York Times that police learned from witnesses that there were 2 groups that were firing shots back and forth at each other and then ran off after each other on foot. WVUE-TV said police believed the shooting stemmed from a fight. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After months of struggling to find their footing, it looks like the GOP has finally found an effective spokesman. Since Republican leaders unveiled the reanimated corpse of Ronald Reagan at a fundraising event last week, the undead former president has quickly emerged as the new face of the Republican Party. Since Reagan was brought back from the grave by GOP leaders in a top-secret $2.2 million reanimation project, poll data shows Reagan with a higher favorability rating than all other high-profile Republicans combined.
The voters know Reagan. They trust Reagan. When he moans at them, they're going to listen.
There's questions as to whether he still has capacity for thought, and he does eat people, but big picture, he's the best option they have right now.
And appeared in a series of GOP ads promoting the Republican Party's traditional values.
Congress and the president say they're trying to help fix our country's economy. Ronald Reagan and the Republican Party have the right idea for America's future.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us right here. We'll give you our toll-free numbers and the Skype username here in moments. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Lots, of course, in the news to discuss, including an officer in Lake Worth, Florida, kicking families out of a park for giving Thanksgiving dinner to homeless people. That story is available to us tonight. But first, breaking news from our very own Keene, New Hampshire. For those of you who've been following the Robin Hood of Keene case, the Robin Hooders are what, Mark? What is a Robin Hooder?
Well, there's some folks that go around and they put money in meters for people who have expired, parking meters. Now, they don't just go around and find any old parking meter that's expired, because that would be, kind of an inefficient way to go about it. You never know. Here in Keene, New Hampshire, there are 2 what do they call them? Parking enforcers. Meter maid, I think, is a politically incorrect term. So there's 2 meter maids, and they go around and they keep an eye on where these folks are. And, sometimes the meter maids will be like, I'll go this way. And obviously the Robin Hooders will run that direction, try to make sure they plug the meters or whatever ahead of time. So essentially what they try to do is they feed people's meters. They save them from getting parking tickets.
Yes, and it has been going on since 2009 here as Lauren Canario, one of the earliest movers to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, the idea of converging libertarians in one geographic area. She started Robin Hooding back in 2009 when she came up with just the whole concept of what this was. She called it Robin Hooding, I believe. And she even came up with like a letter that she'd print up, and it had language to the effect of, hey, we've saved you from a ticket, the king's ransom or whatever, and it was sort of using these Robin Hood-esque terms, and it was fun. It's a fun thing, and she would leave these envelopes with a note on it on people's windshields that she would save from getting a ticket. And others over the years had sort of taken up the mantle of this. They've, it's not Lauren doing it anymore. It's been different people over the last 6 years that this has been going on. In 2012. And so, up until 2012, it was just something that some activists would do on occasion whenever they felt like going out to do it. In 2012, it became a real concerted effort, and it rose to the level of like an organized level of activism, where James Cleveland, who actually is our co-host now on Friday nights here on Free Talk Live, James is the guy who really took it to the next level. He came to town, he got into Robin Hooding, and brought like a level of managerial expertise to the project that it had never had, and started to recruit people basically to help him with this, and scheduling people like for different days of the week to go out and protect people from getting parking tickets. So it got to the point where 6 days a week, and there are only 6 days where parking is enforced. Sunday they take the day off. So 6 days a week, every day of the enforcement, there was somebody on the streets for most of the hours of the day. Some days, every hour of the day that the parking enforcers were out, the Robin Hooders were out. And what that led to, that level of dedicated day in, day out activism, even during the winter time, that's
dedication.
Yeah. What that led to was the city of Keene losing significant revenue from their parking tickets.
Right. This wasn't just saving people from meters to some extent. This is activism that provides a motivation, an impetus to change the way they do business. And I think that many municipalities, their parkings run so poorly that they should have to change business. There was a position called parking czar here in town. I mean, somebody whose position was management of 3 parking enforcers, and then there was somebody in
There's still a manager. There's the parking enforcers, the 2 of them that are left. One of them quit a couple years ago. There's a manager of them, and then there was the parking czar. So there's actually 2 levels of management.
It sounded to me like there was some pork, some fat.
Of course, it's the government
that could be used trimmed there.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, this activism reached a level that really allowed for thousands of people to be saved from getting tickets. So Keene, New Hampshire is a pretty small place. There's only about 22,000 people that live here. Maybe it swings up to 26,000 during the college season. It's a college town. And so they can only write so many tickets per year. I think their amount of tickets that they were writing was like 25,000 or something like that. Was what they were doing previous to this concerted Robin Hooding effort. In the first year of the real concerted Robin Hooding effort, there were at least 5,000 people who were saved tickets. They didn't get the ticket that they otherwise would have been written, that otherwise would have been issued to them, which meant that the city wasn't getting the revenue that they would otherwise get, because they were, like you can save someone from getting a ticket for 5 cents. Whereas if you get the ticket, it's a $5 ticket, and the average person doesn't pay right away, so they don't pay until the ticket doubles in cost, because if you wait, a week or 2 or whatever, then the ticket goes from $5 to $10. And then if you wait even longer, a couple more weeks or whatever, it goes to $35. So the average price of the tickets that are paid are $10. So on average, the city of Keene is used to collecting $10 for every single ticket they write, which means that every 5 cents you drop in a meter prevents them from collecting $10 on average.
They probably don't like that much.
So you take that out. So take $10 a ticket times 5,000 tickets was what was not written. You're talking about a $50,000 hit to their revenue. So that's why in 2013 in May, they decided to file a lawsuit against Robin Hood of Keene, specifically naming myself, James Cleveland, 4 other folks, including Pete Eyre from copblock.org, who never once actually ever did any Robin Hooding. But they came after him anyway because, well, he's our friend.
He's got a name.
And they know who he is. They came after us with this lawsuit claiming initially that it wasn't about the money. They were giving interviews to the media saying, oh, this isn't about the revenue. They can keep doing Robin Hooding. We just want to protect our employees, the parking enforcers, from threatening, harassing, and intimidating behavior on the part of the Robin Hooders, which is what they kept essentially libeling us with. They kept claiming we were threatening, harassing, and intimidating their employees, but yet none of us have ever been arrested on criminal harassment charges. There's never been a criminal assault charge against any of us. So there's all kinds of claims about the Robin Hooders, but none of them have ever been backed up with any evidence. So they came out at us with this lawsuit claiming it wasn't about the money. Then 4 months later, in September, they filed a second lawsuit. So the first suit had yet to have been actually resolved. They filed the second suit against us, and this suit was about the money. This one, they were going for financial damages. financial damages from having to hire a shrink, allegedly, to consult with their parking enforcers, financial damages from the loss of revenue, from the fact that the Robin Hooders were out there saving people from getting tickets. So we had two lawsuits, two civil suits against us. Then they updated one of the suits to claim the claims of civil conspiracy. So you've heard of criminal conspiracy charges. Well, now they were alleging a civil conspiracy against them, the city.
I would concur with that. There is a conspiracy against them.
The Robin Hooders. And there was conspiracy charges. Not charges. Charges are criminal. This wasn't criminal. So there are allegations about conspiracy. There are allegations about tortious interference, meaning that they believed that there was a tort against us, that we were interfering with their ability to perform their duties and their tasks, creating a substantial problem for their business of enforcing. Ultimately, they failed. In 2013, the Superior Court here in town, after holding 3 days of court, full days of hearings and testimony about this, hearing from us, hearing from the parking enforcers, the court dismissed both of those cases. Okay. And then they appealed. So at that point, they'd already spent $20,000, taxpayer dollars, on just the first court hearings. So just getting to the point of having those dismissed, that was at least $20,000. So then they decided to appeal to the New Hampshire Supreme Court, which costs who knows how much more.
Another $20,000, call it.
Probably at least another 20. The Supreme Court affirmed the lower court's ruling on almost every aspect except one. And it was that one aspect that got remanded back to Superior Court. And that question was on the injunction that they had proposed, which I haven't really touched on here yet. The injunction they originally proposed was a 50-foot radius surrounding all the parking enforcers in which the Robin Hooders were not allowed to be. And we'll tell you.
Do you think it should be legal for people to plug meters for other people?
855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
The members of Twisted Sister announced they are now willing to take it. A local man is seated next to Lou Reed on a roller coaster, and in retrospect, a band teacher was probably gay. And now a digitally remastered recap of the summer's music news. Baby Baby Love Ya Girl is now the nation's #1 song, despite no one claiming credit for singing, writing, or producing it. Here now is a short excerpt of the track.
Baby, baby, love you, girl. Baby, baby, love you, girl. Baby, baby.
Members of the music industry call the hit single the most creatively brain-dead wasteland in modern recording history. And they say they would gladly lose millions in royalties rather than face the shame of having been involved in it. After a slap-faced filibuster from rubber band minority leader Bootsy Collins, the National Funk Congress remains deadlocked over the controversial Get Up, Get Down issue. Proponents of the measure favor getting on up and staying on the scene like a sex machine, while detractors are vehement in their belief that Americans need to get down with their bad selves.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Hey, you can join us here on Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number, if you would like to do so, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're updating you on the latest on the saga of Robin Hood of Keene. And another one of the Robin Hooders is joining us in the studio. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
Rich Paul.
And Mark.
Rich, you've been out on the streets doing Robin Hooding, not recently so much, but in the past you had done it for a few months, I think.
Yeah, I did it for a few months when I first got out of jail.
And so, you've got some experience. I've been out there as well a number of times, and you weren't included in the lawsuit. I think you started after the suit began.
I was in jail when the suit was filed.
And so they didn't move to amend to add you to said suit. So if there were an injunction that was going to be released by the court against the Robin Hooders, it actually would not include you. But in this case, the injunction was denied. This is the breaking news for those of you who have been following the case. If you go to freekeene.com right now, there's the full 15-page decision by the judge from the Cheshire Superior Court denying the city of Keene's request to create any kind of injunction whatsoever against the Robin Hooders. And for listeners just tuning in, Robin Hooding is filling parking meters, expired parking meters, to prevent tickets from being written to the individual who's parked at that meter. And that really burns the city when you do that, because it hurts them income-wise. They're used to collecting $10 per expired meter, and if you save that meter with a nickel, then they don't get to collect $9.95 on that person.
Is it 10?
It's on average 10. The default ticket in Keene is $5, but
it's going up. They've voted to raise it.
No, they have not. They voted to raise the rates of
what's that mean?
per hour. The per hour charge is going up. So the amount you pay to park is going up. The city wanted them to double the fines, Mark, but the city council did not give them that.
Okay.
They only gave them 1/3 of what the city asked for. The city, recently there was some controversy here in Keene where the city government was requesting more money on all aspects. They wanted to raise the hourly fees. They wanted to double the fines. And they wanted to increase the hours of enforcement. So right now it ends at 5 p.m. They wanted to go to 7. So they did not get the increased hours of enforcement. They did not get the doubling the fines, but they did get their request of increased hourly fees.
And mathematically, it's a sensible response to Robin Hood to raise the parking rates without raising the fine rates, because what Robin Hood depends on is the fact that the city makes more money if you don't pay for your parking up front.
That's correct. They want to write tickets.
Yes, tickets subsidize the deceptively low rates by shifting shifting a lot of the revenue onto the taxpayer or onto the fine payer as opposed to the person who actually pays for the parking. So we get marginally less bang for our buck by having a lower ratio there. If they'd raised both, it would have stayed the same.
But all you're paying for when you pay is for parking enforcers to wander around and give out tickets.
Well, they claim it's for beautification of downtown. They claim that some of the money goes to like planting things.
That should be the responsibility of the businesses downtown.
It should be. I agree
not
with you there.
the parking enforcement. But
when I brought that point up at the recent city council meeting, one of the city councilors derided it by saying something about, have you ever been to South America? I forget which country, Brazil or something like that. He mentioned some specific. I'm sorry, I don't remember which country it was, but he suggested that when you put businesses in charge, everything is ugly, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous claim. Anyway, the injunction. Let me tell you about this. So the city sued us, and I've kind of gone through.
I didn't claim that the businesses should be put in charge. I claimed that the businesses should be paying for it. In a mall, for instance, things aren't ugly.
Right.
It's just that the businesses, part of their rent is to keep that whole walkway and the area in the middle looking nice and the fountains running and all the other things that they do.
I can't let that go. I've got to respond to it. Is this guy seriously asserting that government buildings are less ugly than privately built buildings? Because I can show you a lot of counterexamples to that.
I
they
got the
stick
footage.
Out like sore thumbs.
They're very
awful.
institutional. They're very ugly. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, but to be fair, the downtown of Keene, New Hampshire, is a pretty nice looking place. They don't do a terrible job at.
It's in the movie Jumanji.
Yeah, that's true. So I want you to know about Brave New Books, which is a great place to go to get books on all kinds of interesting subjects, from libertarianism, anarchism, economics, conspiracy, natural health, survival, and more. It's all the good stuff that the government doesn't want you to read. They also carry amazing health products and water filtration products. You can go to bravenewbookstore.com. It's being run by liberty activists John Bush and Catherine Bleich. They've been doing great activism for years down there in Austin, Texas. But Brave New Books is now online. You do not have to live in Austin to benefit from the collection of books they have over at Brave New Books. Just go to bravenewbookstore.com. They take Bitcoins at Brave New Books. In fact, they prefer when you pay with Bitcoin. So go and get some great water filtration, health products, and all kinds of cool books. They've been around since 2006, and John and Kat actually just took it over this year. They bought the business, and they've expanded it online, bravenewbookstore.com. Very cool. So anyway, some of the things you can't do in big cities is Robinhood, because a lot of the big cities have the kiosks, which basically kill how Robinhooding works. When you're doing a Robinhood, you have to be able to save people from getting tickets, and the kiosks essentially prevent you from knowing how much time someone has left on their meter or whether or not it's expired. So thankfully, Keene has a few hundred meters, several hundred meters.
That would be printed on the ticket, wouldn't it?
Some meters do that, some don't. So there are actually some of the kiosks in town that they've actually just added recently to one of the lots here in town where they do not print tickets. So that would essentially flummox the ability to do Robinhooding. But thankfully, when they
how do the meter readers make the
they have a tool. They have some
okay.
sort of device that will indicate to them who's expired and who's not. So
we're going to have to hack into their data. We need to get Anonymous on this.
Yeah, that would be great, man. But anyway,
Anonymous is after ISIS right now.
For now, we're doing it the old-fashioned way.
That's not the 72 virgins they were looking for.
They might be better matched with the Keene City government.
Yeah.
If Anonymous got turned loose on the Keene City government, it would be over for the Keene City government.
Yeah, it's true. It would probably only take a couple of dozen hackers to drive them into fits because It takes fewer people to break something than it takes to make something.
There was something, I think it was about the Bearcat. It was a couple of years ago when Anonymous announced, or one of the hack groups announced, that they'd hacked into the Keene Police Department email system and that they were going to release those emails, but I don't think they ever came out, so they might have just been BSing them. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, we're doing it the old-fashioned way. We're plugging coins into meters and saving people from getting parking tickets, and the city hates it, so they brought lawsuit, and they wanted an injunction. They wanted money. They didn't get that. That was denied by the courts. They wanted some sort of indication that we were committing some ridiculous civil conspiracy and that there's negligence and tortious interference with their government, their super important government business. All of that was thrown out by the courts. But what they wanted was an injunction, a 50-foot radius surrounding each one of these parking enforcers that would float with them as they walk down the street. And if we were to be within that 50-foot radius, then we would be in violation of said injunction and therefore in contempt of courts.
Imagine if they, and I imagine they also want to be able to decide who gets that 50-foot radius rule and who doesn't, so they can raise that on the Robin Hooders anytime they want.
This is Free Talk Live.
Non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is down $7 at $1,072 per ounce. Silver is 9 cents higher at $14.12 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $323 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you can find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Sharing with you the good news about Robin Hood of Keene. It has the court case against us has been dismissed again. Essentially, the city of Keene was wanting an injunction against the Robin Hooders here, the people who have been saving thousands of motorists from getting tickets from the parking enforcement in Keene, New Hampshire. It's made international headlines. We've been on the Colbert Report. We've been on MSNBC. We've been on international media. I think Fox has covered it. Good Morning America. I mean, major media coverage has been given to Robin Hood of Keene, and I don't know how many of them are going to pick up this news. But basically, at least for the moment, the case is closed. Now, the city could appeal. They have a 30-day window in which they can appeal this decision to the Supreme Court. Last time they appealed to the Supreme Court, because this has been going on for 2.5 years now, the initial 2 cases that they filed against us in civil court were dismissed back in December of 2013. They appealed those. That went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court affirmed the lower court's ruling on almost everything, but the Supreme Court sent one aspect back to the lower court.
It didn't affirm it.
It affirmed the lower court's ruling, which meant that the Supreme Court affirmed what the lower court said, which was the lower court dismissed the case.
Okay.
Or dismissed both cases. But the Supreme Court did say, wait a minute, there's one aspect of this we want to remand back to the lower court. And, of course, the city of Keene was crowing about this like it was a victory for them, even though they lost on, 4 out of 5 of the points.
They had to. They spent tens of thousands of dollars taking a stupid case to court that they knew they were going to lose in the first place. They don't want to come out and say, look, we're dumb.
We need to put in Freedom of Information Act requests to find out how much they've been spending on this. Has Daryl been watching that?
No, but that has been something that we've wanted to do, and I think the last time that someone did try, they said they didn't know because it wasn't over yet. So once it's over, that would be the time to put that in. Of course, they keep going back to court, so it hasn't been over yet.
See, if I were you, I would try to find out what it's cost them thus far.
I think their claim was that they can't give you that information because it's still in process or something. There was some sort of excuse
they won't give
you
anything.
There was some kind of excuse they had. The only reason we know they spent $20,000 on the first part of the case, the very first initial court hearings, was because they told that to the Sentinel in an interview. That the Sentinel's a local newspaper. They told that to the Sentinel in an interview, and it was just sort of a round ballpark estimate. They didn't actually look at any official files for that. So I think it would be safe to say they've spent at least $50,000, if not 60 or more, on this, because now we're in basically part 3, because it went to Superior Court, got dismissed, they appealed to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court upheld most of what the Superior Court said, they kicked one aspect back to the Superior Court, and that was they said that, okay, well, we agree with the lower court that this was this clear free speech issue, so we've dismissed it on this basis, but you need to hear the request for the injunction separately. The injunction request needs to be heard separate from the other facts in the case. So they went and they sent that back. And that's what happened this year in September, was there was another full day of court hearings where they dragged the Robin Hooders and the parking enforcers back onto the witness stand. And we talked about what the last year of, Robin Hooding has been like. And ultimately with the intention of the court deciding on this injunction question. Now, obviously, going into it, a lot of us thought, well, it'd be great if the court continued to rule in favor of the Robin Hooders, and that is what they ultimately decided to do. But you never know what's going to happen in advance of these decisions. So the initial request for the injunction was a 50-foot radius to surround each one of the Robin Hooders in which you could not, to surround each one of the parking enforcers, in which the Robin Hooders could not physically be. You could not be there. You could not talk to the person within that radius. You could not record video of the person. You could yell at the person from outside of the 50-foot radius. You could record them from outside of the 50-foot radius. So that was what they were originally asking for, which would have meant that had the parking enforcer been walking down the street and one of us were inside a business, we would be in violation of the proposed injunction by virtue of the fact that we were just simply within that 50 feet, even if we weren't doing Robin Hooding at the time.
They changed it to like 10 feet at one point,
They
right?
lowered it to 30, then they lowered it to 10.
See, what I would have done on that is said, okay, let's have a 50-foot injunction space, but to be fair, it has to be mutual. And then we could just stand one person out by the gazebo and protect the entire Central Square area. It would be beautiful.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that wasn't. They didn't write any injunction, so the court refused the injunction. Period.
That's because it's insane.
But they whittled it down. Okay, so it was 50 feet initially back in 2013, and by the time the hearings happened, by the time the final court decision was made, it had been whittled to 30, then it had been whittled to 10, and then when they went in front of the Supreme Court, they basically told the Supreme Court, "Look, we'll take anything you can give us." And then finally, the last request that they made, their final proposed injunction, came out last month, and I posted it on freekeene.com just a couple weeks ago. And the final request from them was, okay, we don't want a permanent buffer zone anymore. What we want is for if the parking enforcer tells one of the Robin Hooders to back off, that there's then a 10-foot radius around the parking enforcer. But if the Robin Hooder needs to cross nearby the parking enforcer in order to get in front of the parking enforcer, there's then a 5-foot radius. So, because of the
oh God, the desperation of that!
Super
Are
desperate.
you serious? Somebody
Totally
was paid like $200 an hour to write that drivel.
That's correct.
200. You wish. This is the best set of lawyers in the state.
Oh,
This
I'm
is the
sorry.
one-
I meant to say $2,000 an hour.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
They didn't hire their own lawyers from the town. They went to Concord and got the state capitol best guys.
These are the attorneys
Wow.
who take on city cases. So they work for municipalities all across New Hampshire.
So they're like
These are the
muscle
go-to
for the
guys.
statists.
Yes, these are the
Oh,
go-to
wow.
guys for all the cities in New Hampshire, basically.
And they got spanked. I like the
They
sound
did.
of that.
They did, and so just so you know, the testimony during the trial was that, well, sometimes we have to close the gap between the parking enforcer and the Robin Hooder. As a Robin Hooder, it's my goal to be in front of that parking enforcer. I need to reach the meters before they do. So a lot of times we'll be described in the media as following the parking enforcers, but actually we're ahead of
trying
the
to
parking
predict where they go.
Right. So I want to be far enough ahead of the parking enforcer to where I can find an expired meter, put a nickel in the meter to buy the person more time. Then I have a calling card from Robin Hood of Keene that I leave on the person's windshield. So it takes me a moment. I've got to feed the meter, walk to the windshield, leave the card on the windshield, and then get back out and start walking towards more meters. In that time frame, the parking enforcer, she's walking. So she's closing the gap between me and her. So it's inevitable that eventually she's going to catch up because I can only go so far ahead. Because if I'm 100 feet ahead and she goes down a different street, well, then I've got to catch up to her. So during the testimony, it was testified that, look, sometimes we have to get close to these parking enforcers. We don't want to be close to them because it's not effective for us to be close to them. We want to be ahead of them, but if they change direction or pull some sort of nonsense where they're playing games like that, and they do, they'll like stop at a corner and then juke like they're going to go one direction and then go back in the other direction. And so they try to play games. And
Juking parking enforcers.
Yeah, and so in that instance, you've got to get past them, and if there's a 50-foot radius, then you can't possibly get past them to get ahead of them again. So they whittled it down to 10 feet, but then they also, in order to provide us the ability to get past them, said, in the event that the Robin Hooder needs to pass by the parking enforcer, the radius goes down to only 5 feet. So our attorney, of course, still argued against this proposed injunction as it's unconstitutional and it would still cause issues, and you're still relying on the parking enforcer to judge the distance, and humans looking at a distance aren't going to be able to agree on what distance is what, and so it's
just weird as a snake's suspenders. I mean, who does that? Those are way too detailed to even make sense to me.
You mean the injunction details?
The injunction details. Those are that's a pretty complex injunction for
desperate.
people who are engaged in that kind of thing.
It's them knowing they have nothing, and so they've just asked for the bare minimum. And remember, it went from a 24-hour injunction down to if the parking enforcer tells you to leave them alone, then it becomes a 10-foot radius and only for that day.
It would have been hilarious if they'd gotten it to get a guy out there in a referee uniform and have him follow both of you around and warn each other about violations of these rules.
So the good news is they were unsuccessful. We'll continue. You can share your thoughts here with us. 855-450-FREE. The court ruled that this proposed injunction would be unconstitutional.
Pop quiz for all business owners. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business, which one of these can you lose? Your home, your car, or your life savings? The answer? All three. Because if you're not incorporated, it's not just your business that can be sued, it's you too, which means you could lose everything. Once business owners realize the risk of not being incorporated, they usually scramble to incorporate or form an LLC. To make it quick and easy, Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide to all business owners, so you can incorporate in just 10 minutes. For your free 10-minute incorporation guide, call now, 1-800-915-1027. Protect your financial future. At Incorporate.com, they don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. Call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide. 1-800-915-1027. Hurry while supplies last. 1-800-915-1027. That's 1-800-915-1027.
My name is Don Wiskin. In 1994, I lost my 62-year-old father to complications of bypass surgery. In 1977, my 44-year-old brother was found dead in his apartment. He suffered a heart attack. In January of 98, my mother had a stroke and passed away in her bed. 21 days later, my 53-year-old brother passed away on his arrival to the hospital. He waited too long. In June that same year, I almost joined them at 42. What did I do? I took a 7-herb formula I now call Extendivite, made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, hawthorn, milk thistle, and valerian. Based on German studies of natural medicine, Extendivite is designed to clear blocked arteries, clean the toxins from your blood, and improve your immune system. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website, heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today at nhliberty.info.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, special guest interview with Adam Kokesh, who was also in court recently, and we'll find out what happened with him. I suspect it didn't go as swimmingly for him as it did for the Robin Hooders here in Keene, who have now been victorious yet again. This is what we've been discussing thus far in the show tonight. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Rich Paul.
And Mark.
Of course, the Robin Hooders are people who have for years been saving folks from getting tickets in downtown Keene from parking meters, basically feeding meters before the parking enforcers can reach them. The city sued. The cases were tossed out initially. The city appealed. The case was a portion of the case was remanded back to Superior Court. And now we've been victorious yet again. So we've won basically 3 times in a row. against the city. The question is, are they going to appeal yet again? It's not like it's their money that they're spending on these appeals, so certainly they'll have the bill paid for if they decide to appeal again in this case, and so that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens. There's a 30-day window of time that they have. If you want to check out the full court decision, it's 15 pages long. It's posted right now over at freekeene.com. And they basically, the last question that the court had to decide on was whether or not to issue an injunction against the Robin Hooders, and the court denied the city's request for what was a watered-down, seriously weakened injunction from what they'd originally requested back in 2013 when they filed the suit against us. So basically, it's at this point a total victory for the Robin Hooders. The case actually never even made it to trial. So even though we spent 4 days in court in total over the last year, 4 days in Superior Court, and there was a hearing in Supreme Court as well, 4 full days of court testimony that sure did feel like a trial. There's people getting sworn in on the witness stand, and there's long testimony, video evidence being played, cross-examinations, the whole thing. Those were just called evidentiary hearings. And the purpose of the evidentiary hearing was to decide whether or not to move forward with a full trial. The full trial would have involved a jury, bringing a jury in and having them hear the evidence and the claims and all of that. So this court, and the lower court that dismissed the case, that ultimately that dismissal was appealed and then it was upheld and now it's been dismissed again. That dismissal was before we reached the trial. So had the Supreme Court actually reversed the court's decision, then it would have just gone to the trial. So it wouldn't have been a win for the city of Keene. We would have gone on and gone to a full trial. So they never even made it to trial. This judge kicked that thing out before it even got to the actual trial.
0 things in this case look like a win for them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the great news. Yeah. You can get all the details over at freekeene.com. Let's bring Adam Kokesh on the line here. Adam, are you with us?
Yeah, Ian, thanks so much for having me on again. I gotta say though, you're probably tired of hearing from me. I'm just glad I get to hang out on a night when Mark and Rich are in studio too.
Well, actually, you and I have been trying to negotiate getting you on the air. You've been in the middle of a Greyhound bus ride back from Washington, D.C., and that's why I wanted you on Saturday night, but you were in transit at the time, and it just wasn't possible to pull it off. And the reason you were on that Greyhound bus, as I understand it, is because you have been banned from at least one airline, and the TSA confused the GPS ankle tracker that you had on with a bomb. What happened?
Yeah, that's a fair summary. Just another day in the life for me, just another little adventure. But really, the most interesting part of this is how much fun I had on the Greyhound bus with a 60-hour nonstop, not nonstop, lots of stops, but 60 hours more or less straight on a Greyhound bus.
Tell me more.
You've never done.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were getting cut out. That's why we lost what
you're
you
in good
there.
physical condition. I highly recommend it.
We lost a portion of what you said there.
If you ever want an adventure, go on a 60-hour Greyhound trip across the country. And that was by far the most interesting part of this whole adventure. And
you will certainly meet interesting characters. That's for sure.
What cities were involved in this?
It was Baltimore all the way to Phoenix.
Baltimore to Phoenix. Oh, that's a long ride.
Yeah, 60 hours.
Wow.
It was more than a day just for me to get from Sarasota, Florida to New Orleans. I mean, it takes a long time to get places on Greyhound.
We had a little fun party the last night we were there, too, because the heat went out, and we were driving through northern New Mexico and Arizona. It was 12 degrees at one point, and I could see my breath on the bus. So no one could sleep, and we had a little party, I guess you could say, to stay warm. And
what kind of party you were referring to?
Oh, well, it was
a stay warm party?
Yeah, all kinds of crazy parties happen on a Greyhound bus that's crowded in the middle of the night when it's freezing like that. But we figured out that about 80% of us on that bus had been to jail before.
Figures.
Wow.
So you actually spent some time in jail not too long ago for an incident in Washington, D.C. involving you being recorded on video racking a shotgun. They came after you. They raided your house. They arrested you on multiple charges. You ended up sitting in jail for a while and then getting out on probation with some time served. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and I wish I had a little more presence of mind to represent myself and really negotiate back then. And it's only something that I've done in the last 4 or so hearings that we've had as probation show cause hearings. And it's so much more satisfying. I understand if you don't have a grasp over the legal situation that you're in, don't do it. If you're not confident in speaking for yourself, don't do it. But when you are in a position to represent yourself, you really shouldn't be falling for the lawyer racket. And it's been a lot of fun. At this last court hearing, which is why I was in D.C. on the 18th, I basically called out my probation officers. I mean, I chewed them out in court, and they're not used to this. Now, I don't think there's, never ascribe to conspiracy what can be adequately explained by incompetence. And in this case, that is the probation department in Washington, D.C. There's plenty of incompetence to go around. They're just used to abusing their petty power to push people around and cover up that petty incompetence. And in my case, I'm like, no, I record everything that I can. I post it on the internet. I will embarrass the heck out of you if you give me the opportunity to, and I will not take things lying down. So I had so much fun in court on Wednesday, just telling them off. And for me, things went pretty well in court. Still got to wear the ankle bracelet for a while. And one of the things that the judge was unwilling to back down on was a mental health assessment as part of my probation. And we had a lot of people calling the day before. I got to say thanks to everybody who called in to the judge and to the probation supervisor. It really does make a difference in cases like this. And you guys know about this, in New Hampshire as well, when the people involved on the other side of the state versus free people line understand that there's a heightened degree of scrutiny.
Yeah, they're being watched.
What they're doing. Yeah, and just giving them, just to have a dozen phone calls the day before a court hearing even makes a huge difference when you go in there. And they're, I don't want to say afraid of you, but they're on notice that you're not someone who's just going to,
You're not a pushover. You're not the average dupe. You're not somebody who they can just easily take advantage of. Now, how long are you on probation for?
Well, it's only supposed to last until January 17th.
Oh, okay.
And I actually negotiated the potential of being switched to unsupervised probation early and getting this little electronic shackle taken off my leg. But I had so much fun in court, and it really is cool. And I understand how a lot of people in New Hampshire are doing this kind of activism, and we all suffer a great deal of public commentary on what we're doing, criticism, and we're all struggling to be as effective and as efficient. But there's something beautiful when the stakes are just a little bit higher than going to a protest, and you can still hold your head high with dignity. You can show people around you that they can hold themselves to a higher standard of standing up for themselves. And after this, I would think of it as my last performance in court. There was a young black gentleman who was only about 18 who was waiting in line for his turn at the trough of justice. And he came to me afterwards when my probation officers and I were filling out some paperwork in the hallway, and he was like, dude, that was awesome, like, way to go. And that's like more than any of the legal stuff, that kind of feedback is really motivating. Yeah, to know that, because they do so much to control us by bullying and emotional manipulation and making you feel like you're all alone. And we no one's perfect in this. We all suffer, a little bit of humiliation, and I don't mean actual humiliation, but we all suffer a little bit from their attempts to humiliate us, to beat us down. And when we have that kind of broader community that you see exists potentially in every single human being on this planet who can be touched by someone who is passionate about standing up for righteousness, it's just beautiful. And
I totally agree. I mean, for all of the crap that some of us get from the critics and the haters out there, when just one person says thank you for whatever the outreach was or whatever it was that they witnessed, we've done a lot of jury nullification outreach here, and don't take a plea deal, and every now and then someone will stop and say, hey man, I really appreciated the information in that flyer, or thank you, I totally agree. Adam, I want you to tell more of your story. Can you stick with us?
Yeah, happy to do another segment.
Right. Adam Kokesh is here. Is it still thefreedomline.com for your site these days?
That's it. Free books.
Stand by for more with Adam Kokesh. He will join us coming up in hour number 2. And if you've got a question for him, he's usually more than happy to take them. So feel free to dial in toll-free at 855-450-FREE. We'll find out more about the bomb threat that was on his ankle. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, November 23rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.03 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,071 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $325. Antiwar.com reports an apparent U.S. drone strike against Somalia on Sunday killed at least 8 fighters from the al-Shabaab group in an overnight strike that targeted a longtime Shabaab base 120 kilometers northwest of the Somali capital of Mogadishu. Details are still emerging on the incident, but locals reported 3 explosions at the base, and Somali police are reporting a local al-Shabaab leader was among the slain in the attack. Al-Shabaab has not confirmed this, however. This is the latest of several U.S. drone strikes against al-Shabaab targets inside Somalia, generally aimed at leaders in the group who were linked to attacks against targets inside neighboring Kenya. There was no report that Sunday's attack targeted anyone specifically involved in that, however. U.S. drone strikes launched in Somalia are generally believed to be launched from CIA sites, and such attacks are generally not publicly commented on by U.S. officials, apart from bragging about successful assassinations. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least 1 foot of snow fell on parts of the upper Midwest on Saturday, creating potentially hazardous traveling conditions ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. The National Weather Service said a storm dumped from 8 to 16 inches of snow in a stretch between southeastern South Dakota to southern Wisconsin starting Friday. Winter weather advisories are posted for multiple parts of Michigan, including Detroit and northern Indiana. More than 11 inches of snow have fallen on Chicago since Friday, while the Sioux City, South Dakota metropolitan area had about 18 inches. Nearly 600 flights in Chicago's O'Hare International Airport were canceled, reporting 9.1 inches of snow by 7 a.m. Saturday. The storm system was moving east, bringing the cold weather towards the Great Lakes. The National Weather Service said in a statement, After the first significant snowstorm of the season for parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, conditions are forecast to be less active, with just some patchy areas of lake-effect snow remaining. The cold front should exit the East Coast on Sunday, ushering in an even colder air mass for the beginning of the week. The Iowa Department of Transportation warned residents in Des Moines and several cities not to travel because of the winter conditions. Many vehicles have reportedly been seen in ditches, particularly near Mason City and Council Bluffs. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo released a statement warning residents to prepare for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour with the possibility of a foot of snow.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co.
Reuters reports up to 16 people were hospitalized on Sunday after a shooting at a New Orleans park where hundreds of people had gathered for the making of a music video, according to local media reports who cited police. The shooting occurred around 7 p.m. local time in Bunny Friend Park in the city's Upper Ninth Ward. The Times-Picayune newspaper quoted New Orleans Police Superintendent Michael Harrison as saying he believed multiple people had fired into the crowd of more than 300. The newspaper quoted him as saying, "I can't speak to the condition of all the victims, but no one has died at this time." 3 witnesses told the Times-Picayune they saw a man with what they believed to be a silver-colored machine gun and also heard more gunshots coming from within the crowd as he ran away. New Orleans Police Department spokesman Tyler Gamble told the New York Times that police learned from witnesses that there were 2 groups that were firing shots back and forth at each other and then ran off after each other on foot. WVUE-TV said police believed the shooting stemmed from a fight. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Regarded by many as one of the fastest rising online personalities today, social media rock star Ryan Wasserman has 250,000 loyal Twitter followers and earns $28,000 a year at his job as an administrative assistant. The Onion spoke to the online luminary at KPL Insurance, where he works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and makes roughly $13 an hour.
I'm just trying to bring my unique perspective to everybody. That's what my followers expect, and I like to think I deliver.
Wasserman, who currently has $900 in his checking account, regularly engages in conversations with high-profile celebrities and takes the bus to work from the 2-bedroom apartment he shares with a 23-year-old he met on Craigslist.
Actually, I just started a Tumblr because sometimes 140 characters just doesn't cut it. I just had a Google Glass tweet that Questlove retweeted again. KPL, this is Ryan. Yeah, I'm sorry, I totally forgot.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. You can bring up anything you want. Coming up, a crackdown on some folks trying to distribute Thanksgiving dinners. Thankfully, no one has cracked down here in New Hampshire, where over 600 families were fed Thanksgiving dinner. They were given a Thanksgiving dinner, and they will have to prepare most of it themselves, but they were given all the ingredients of turkey and all that with Shire Sharing earlier, yesterday, I guess. We didn't really talk about that. I mentioned it yesterday. Maybe we should get into detail on exactly what that is and what has happened, because it's great news. But in some places, feeding other people will get you possibly arrested. At the very least, in this case, a police officer kicked some families out of a park for doing just that. But let's go back to your calls and thoughts. It's Ian, Rich, and Mark in the studio with you here. We've got Adam Kokesh on our Skype with us. Adam, thanks for hanging out there during the news as we continue. You were at a probation hearing recently in Washington, D.C., which is not where you live. You used to live out in that area, and then ultimately they came after you for a video that you made, a protest video, with you racking a shotgun in Washington, D.C., which is apparently not legal. So they raided your home and then ultimately brought you up on charges and then put you on probation for a time. And every now and then with supervised probation, you have to show up to a court hearing. So you traveled all the way from Arizona to D.C. to attend said court hearing, and you're kind of telling us about your experience inside the courthouse. There was one guy who gave you a compliment. He appreciated the way you handled yourself in court, standing up for for yourself, whereas most people just bend over and take it. So that was cool. But then you ended up going to to try to leave D.C., and that's where the trouble really started for you, right?
Well, I should point out that one of the fun quirks of my probation is that I was originally banned in Washington, D.C., not allowed to step foot within the district.
That's
and
right.
so I had to leave the area. I
were banished.
I don't
Dude.
That
Dude,
never
I'd
happens.
love to get banished. That would rock. That's I'm proud to know you, bro.
Yeah, who does that happen to? Right? They don't do that anymore.
I kind of ruined it, like I don't like living in the DC area. I was really just there to use the White House as a backdrop to make videos and to go troll protesters and whatnot. But I was then in a little bit of a miscommunication with our probation officer in California, and he complained to DC. They called me back to court in DC while I was banned in DC. So, it's funny to run into these various contradictions. And then I was flying out of Baltimore on my way home, and I've flown with this ankle bracelet, I don't know, maybe a dozen times. And normally I opt out because they're, I mean, you guys know there are lots of reasons to opt out.
And when you say opt out, you mean the scanner thing where they have people go and put their arms up and that thing.
Yeah, opting out of that. So instead he's getting the blue glove love, the free government massage.
That's right.
Don't touch my junk.
Generally speaking, you have to point a gun at me to put my hands over my head. But in this case, I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. I'm going to get, maybe I won't get the full pat down. I'll just get the ankle pat down. And so like every time I go through and I do opt out, they notice the ankle bracelet and they say, what's that? And I say, hey, it's a GPS ankle bracelet. Don't worry. It's not a bomb. And they swab it for explosives and they go, oh, okay. And they treat it like any other medical device.
Okay.
And this time it was going through the, I guess I should have opted out and gone for someone who knew a little bit more of what he was doing. Although I know that's really not something to be looking for among the ranks of the TSA. And they triggered on, I said, look, it's not a bomb. Don't worry. Just test it like you always do. And
he said bomb.
Bomb, 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 bomb. Everybody runs around.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I don't like, the way I go through a TSA checkpoint is like everything else in life. I don't cower. I don't alter my behavior because of what someone wants me to do. I will alter my behavior based on what someone's threatening me with, obviously. But, I film at checkpoints. I'm that guy with the TSA. I've got, I don't know, probably a couple million views when you add up all of my TSA videos. And I've been recognized at TSA checkpoints. I get recognized pretty much every time I go through one. And a lot of times by name. So it's not at all surprising to think that maybe this was someone who knew who I was and wanted to set me up, but it really doesn't matter. It's just, another demonstration of how scary it is that people with, IQs below room temperature have this ridiculous arbitrary authority over you.
So they freaked out about you saying that it was not a bomb.
Right.
And what happened?
Wow.
Then? What happened next?
Oh, so they turn on the alarms and we stand around for 15 minutes and people cover their ears. And
so basically they shut down the checkpoint. Everybody else was not able to go through to their flights because of this?
Just for about 15 minutes. And then they dragged me down to the interrogation room and I talked to the local cops and the FBI. And they were like, at one point, actually, they wanted to get me to rat out other activists. They were like, you must be really privy to some interesting stuff in your
Do you know those guys
Was
in
there
Keene?
a guy named Phil Christian in there?
No, I don't think there was a Phil, but it was three FBI agents, all of very interesting states of mind that they brought into that conversation. It was a fun experience. It was a good adventure. I've never been interrogated by the FBI before. I've gotten phone calls.
We learned during Rich Paul's trial for selling cannabis from this Phil Christiana he mentioned, who was the FBI agent in that case, that the FBI actually has a policy against recording interviews with people. So
what?
Yeah, they have a policy against it. They do not record their interviews.
So my suggestion is whenever you're interviewed by them, demand that a recording be made.
Well, in this case, it was the interrogation room at the airport. They said that, there's a mic on the table and a camera in the ceiling, and they kept telling me everything here is being recorded.
Interesting.
Okay, that
Maybe
was
it's a
probably
TSA
TSA, yeah.
It's Baltimore Transportation Authority police that run that facility, I believe. So,
all right.
Yeah, and then
they
I got
tried to intimidate you. That didn't work.
Yeah, so I got a citation for interfering, and I'm
Who
pretty
wrote
sure
the
it's not even
citation?
a local cop, one of the cops of the airport.
So you've got a local ordinance violation in Baltimore now?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, bro.
Interfering means having said it is not a bomb?
Right.
Okay.
Wow, this would be an interesting case. So now you're going to have to go back to Baltimore to go to court?
I hope not. It's not worth it. See, like, one of the things that I've come to appreciate, and I know that as the movement evolves, I think more people are having these kinds of epiphanies in terms of directing their own activism. But, going to court day in and day out is not an effective way to wake people up or enact change, and it's usually not the most efficient way. And
No, it's
I'm
just self-defense.
Well, yeah, at some point it's always self-defense. But if I could pay a fee and stay on the West Coast versus buy some more plane tickets or take another Greyhound across the country, I don't know if my body can take it. I've gotten to the point where I can enjoy what I do simply as performance art and present it as such, and not a quest for every little victory along the way. I think the greatest victory comes in standing up. If you stand up and they want to distract you with court hearings, then you lose if you're losing opportunities to stand up again or that much sooner. And for me, on a bigger scale, what I've come to really impose is the most brutal measure of effectiveness and efficiency of my activism is how many people do we wake up? How many converts do you win to a different way of thinking, to the anti-dogma of thinking for yourself, at least as applies as we are concerned with the issues of ethics and government. And a lot of what we do as performance art is a great way to reach into the mainstream or to reach people that we wouldn't otherwise. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't change the fundamental metric of what is effective activism. Now, there are two other metrics that I accept as legitimate that I think are great guides for people who want to improve their activism. But the first one is winning converts. How many minds can you free? How many people can you pull out of the matrix? The second one is how much can you reduce the coercion in society, get a bad law changed, a tax reduced, or a bad cop fired, that kind of thing. And the third one, and maybe this is the most important, is how much fun can you have?
Yeah,
if you're
totally
having fun,
agree.
If you're having fun, you can never be faulted.
Well, the people will fault you, but if you're, I think if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Adam, can you stick with us for another segment?
Sure, happy to.
All right, more with Adam Kokesh from thefreedomline.com. That's his website, and you can call in if you got a question, 855-450-FREE.
The following is an important free offer for smokers only. The makers of O2 Pure's revolutionary e-cigarette have just authorized the release of free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, call in the next 10 minutes, 1-800-717-8682. The advanced O2 Pure design creates a pleasant vapor. There is no foul-smelling smoke and no nasty tar. This allows individuals to enjoy the nicotine they love whenever and wherever they are. The financial advantages over cigarettes are considerable as well. It is estimated that the average smoker can save hundreds of dollars a month with O2 Pure. Again, free starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer not available in stores, so call now for your free kit. 1-800-717-8682. 1-800-717-8682. 1-800-717-8682.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us toll free, 855-450-FREE. If you've got a question for Adam Kokesh, he's with us from thefreedomline.com. He's on Skype with us at the moment, so if you've got a question, you do have to call in. Given that we cannot conference Skype calls together. That's just the way Skype works, or in that case, doesn't work. So join us toll-free, 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian here.
Rich Paul.
And Mark.
And do your online shopping for this holiday season or any old time of the year at shop.freetalklive.com. When you enter Amazon through the links you will find there, there's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, and Amazon US. When you enter Amazon through those links, Free Talk Live will get a portion of your purchase price. So it's a great way to get the shopping done that you need to do and help Free Talk Live out all at the same time. So once again, go to shop.freetalklive.com and get it done because it's the holiday season. Black Friday is coming up this week. You don't want to go to the stores. You don't have to deal with the crowds. Just do it from home. Do it from the office. Shop.freetalklive.com. Let's go back to Adam Kokesh. He's on Skype with us here. Adam, you were in D.C. for a probation hearing that stemmed from I guess, a civil disobedience incident a couple of years ago where you racked a shotgun in Washington, D.C. They came after you, raided your home, and destroyed your life, essentially, in that moment. They put you in jail for a while, and then ultimately you went out on probation. You came back for a probation hearing last week. You had an interesting time in court, and then you figured you were just going to leave, just like you've left before, by flying out from Baltimore Airport. And the TSA decided to take issue with your ankle bracelet that you had sort of jokingly said was not a bomb, which you've said on multiple occasions at other airports. But in this case, they decided to shut down the security checkpoint for 15 minutes and then ultimately interrogate you in some sort of interrogation room. And
yes. I'm also banned at the airport, at least I was. I don't know how long it lasts. And I'm banned from flying on United Airlines. And I hope this is the reverse endorsement that it should be. If there's an airline that will automatically take the government's side and presume you guilty until proven innocent, that is not an airline you want to fly on.
I'll make a note
You're
of
not
that.
wrong.
I suspect it's all of them, but that's how businesses are.
You never know. But last time, like I had an incident with Delta. Well, I shouldn't say it was with Delta. I was flying on Delta, and this was out of New York, coming back from Liberty Fest. And I started filming at a checkpoint, and guy said you can't, and I said you're wrong, and ended up talking to a supervisor saying, hey, please educate your agents better. And as a result, I missed my flight by just a couple minutes, and I was like, well, I got all day. TSA is going to be here all day. Let's make some more videos. So I went back and I caught up with the agents that delayed me, and I caught up with the agent who, again, is it lying or just a petty assumption, abuse of power for him to say you're not allowed to film here because I don't like being filmed. So I actually chased him down as he was leaving on break.
Nice.
And then I went back to complain and a number of times, and they swatted my cell phone out of my hand while I was recording. I thought that was going to be a huge
saw
news
that
story.
video.
Now it's sort of like nothing the TSA does makes headlines anymore. It's just like nobody cares. It's so pathetic. We've come to accept this, that every time you fly, your balls are going to get groped, and something from your bags might get stolen, and you're probably going to get lied to, and you might miss your flight because of someone's just ridiculous incompetence and bad training. We have it on video. I'm filming him, and he reaches up and swats my cell phone out of my hand. I thought for sure
It's outrageous.
that was going to be a viral video. I mean, on my channel it did okay. I got like 40,000 views. I thought for sure people were going to be, just for the fun of the video. No, not even. We are so used to this now. We are so just conditioned to accept this kind of, petty power BS, and it's really sad.
Adam, we got a question from a listener via text here. It's Nathan in Texas. He says, he said, in the interrogation, did Adam respond to questions with, quote, I don't answer questions, unquote, and if not, why not? What was the interrogation like?
Okay, a lot of people will say, don't answer questions, don't say anything. And if you're not confident in what you're saying and represent yourself, and you understand the exact legal situation, and you're not going to say something that's going to increase your legal liability, that is the best advice. However, I have been in numerous situations where I've talked myself out of trouble. Once at a Border Patrol checkpoint, various times with local cops. And in this case, I knew that the liability was relatively low, but that if they really wanted to mess with me, they could making terrorist threats, whatever the TSA wants to say, and my side of the story isn't out there, then, they can do whatever. So I actually, did a sort of semi-cooperation, and it was really kind of pathetic in how they do an investigation like this. And they wanted me to say, like, how did your day start? How did you get to Baltimore? How did you do this? And I was like, this is all really public record stuff. Like, they're saying, what happened when you got to the checkpoint? And I was like, well, I walked into the line and I talked to the person. I gave them my boarding pass and my ID, and I filmed a little bit because there was some stuff going on, and I put my camera down, I put my phone down, and I went through the checkpoint, and it was just, I don't know if it was a good play or not. You can never tell with these things, but I walked away with a citation that I didn't expect, so you could say it didn't go well on that count. But I'm confident that they could have done a lot worse, and that if I hadn't talked, that might have been more likely. So that was the decision I made. I'd love to hear your guys' take on that if you want to pick that one apart.
I got nothing to say about that. I mean, you were there in the moment, and I think you got to make your best choices based on the information that you've been given.
Yeah, all anyone can do at this point is speculate. I will speculate that if a law enforcement officer thinks you're an a-hole, that they're going to treat you the way that they believe a-holes are best treated, which is to give you as much trouble as they possibly can. You better be in a good position if that's the tack you're going to take with them.
Right, and there were a couple of fun things about this, and in those terms, if you can personalize yourself a little bit to the officers and have a friendly conversation. Now, I'm not saying this, I'm not advising this, because for most people who don't have like the experience and presence of mind in these situations that experienced civil disobedience activists like ourselves do, you are taking on a certain liability every time you open your mouth. But like one of these guys was a former Marine rugby player. So we talked about rugby for 15 minutes, and it was funny. It was like while these other agents are standing there watching this.
And you are also a former Marine, just for our listeners that don't know.
and played. Yeah, but you couldn't tell from the stupid look on my face. I know that doesn't work on the radio. But yeah, and I was on the rugby team for the Marines one year and played throughout college. So like, we got to have a friendly conversation in this awkward situation about that. And one of the cops, this is really fun, one of the local cops actually recognized me from my YouTube channel and said that he had seen some of my videos through Cop Block. And I said, "Are you a fan?" And he sort of shrugs and smiles sheepishly. And then I asked him why he became a cop. And he says, "Because I had no other skill set." And I was like, wow, that is a refreshingly honest answer.
Wow, it is.
He was the cool one of, the
good cop.
Bad cop, who knows. But one of the FBI agents was like, I suggested, and it's funny how this became a topic of conversation, like, is it possible that the TSA agents would recognize you, after I suggest it and tell them who I am and about my YouTube channel. And at one point, this guy just like gets really angry. He's like, "You're not a celebrity. You're not some kind of athlete. Who do you think you are going through a TSA checkpoint expecting people to recognize you?" Well, I'm the guy who has a video of a random TSA agent recognizing me on my YouTube channel. And the other guy had seen the incident from 2 years ago at the Baltimore airport. So
Adam, can you stick with us?
Exchange. Well, I really should go, gents, but I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Adam Kokesh, thefreedomline.com.
You've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? again. Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Our toll-free number for you, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us online at freetalklive.com. You can get interactive there. It is a brand newly redesigned website, so please go and enjoy at freetalklive.com. If you're online at all, you really ought to be protecting yourself with ProXPN, whether you've got Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, or Linux. There's support available for you at proxpn.com. And if you're a Bitcoin user, you get the best deal possible on ProXPN. Here's what we got for you. You go to proxpn.com/amp and pay with Bitcoin, and you can get 2 years of ProXPN for less than $50. That's a huge discount off the already great price we've been giving you previously for those of you paying with credit card. If you pay with a credit card, you can use code FTL50, and you'll get 50% off the regular monthly price when you get the annual account. And that breaks the price down to less than $5 a month. But I think $50 for 2 years is way better than that. So if you've got Bitcoin, go to proxpn.com/amp. ProXPN encrypts your online data before it reaches your internet service provider, protecting you from the prying and the spying. You can go and get started right now. proxpn.com/amp. $5, by the way, of your purchase goes to the Free Talk Live AMP program, which will help Free Talk Live spread the ideas of liberty. So ProXPN is behind that. They're behind Free Talk Live, and they offer a great service on top, which protects you online. So go to proxpn.com/amp. Pay with Bitcoin today. As we continue with you tonight, you've got Ian,
Rich Paul,
and Mark.
So there's pretty disturbing news out of New South Wales. Now that is Australia, if I'm not mistaken. The story here from computerworld.com.au. Possessing files that can be used to 3D print firearms will soon be illegal in New South Wales after new legislation passed last week by state parliament comes into effect. Among the provisions in the so-called Firearms and Weapons Prohibition Legislation Amendment Bill is an amendment to the Weapons Prohibition Act of 1998 stating that a person, quote, must not possess a digital blueprint for the manufacture of a firearm on a 3D printer or on an electronic milling machine. The maximum penalty is 14 years in jail.
Jeez.
Wow.
This is 14 years for having blueprints. 14 years for having data, a set of ones and zeros in a very specific order that amounts to a 3D printable plan that one could use to print the parts that could then be assembled to build a gun like the Liberator. This is the gun that Cody what was his last name? Cody, thinking O'Connor, but that's the talk show host.
That Neil?
Cody, the guy from Austin, the guy who came up with the Liberator. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his last name at the moment.
Cody.
Yep. Anyway, he came up with the Liberator.
The interwebs know.
Yep, they sure do, and I don't have them in front of me at the moment. So he came up with the Liberator, which is named after the gun from, what was it, World War II?
Yes.
Where the United States dropped these crappy guns on France, and the idea was they were like a one-shot, one-off kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you know,
They were a 45. They had a one-shot. You had to unscrew something, put the bullet in, and then screw it back in, I believe. So it was somewhat of an ordeal to load them.
and apparently they were highly unreliable as well, from what I understand.
That I wasn't aware of, but
Yes.
that's too
Like
bad.
blowing up in
because-
people's hands and things like that.
because reliability would be vital in that situation, because the whole idea is you take one of these things, you walk up behind a Nazi,
Right.
and you pop him in the back of the head and take his gun, which is presumably much better than yours.
Yeah, that was the idea, and I imagine it worked most of the time, but in some cases it apparently didn't.
It's Cody Wilson.
Thank you. Cody Wilson, the designer of the Liberator. So he came out with this gun and released the plans for it to the internet and started all kinds of controversy because the 3D printable gun is such a revolution evolution, if you will, in technology. Because, you previously had to go to gun expert types in order to get a gun, like a gun manufacturer or at the very least someone providing the parts that you could put together for a gun. Now, if you have a 3D printer of, virtually any sort, you don't have to have a special 3D printer for this. You can print these pieces out. I believe the Liberator only has one metal part in it. I believe it has a screw that part can't be printed. But the rest of the gun, all of the pieces can be printed out with any old 3D printer, which means that the barrier of entry to acquiring a gun because of this has been lowered dramatically. It usually costs hundreds of dollars to purchase a gun. Now, to be fair, 3D printers, they might run you a few bucks, but they can be used to print other things. So, presuming you have,
or they can be used 1,000 times to print out
1,000 guns. Sure, exactly. So, this to the state is an incredibly dangerous proposition. The state wants to be in control, and when I say the state, I mean governments in general. The state wants to be in control of things like guns. They want to have their tentacles as deeply into that marketplace as they possibly can. They want to know who sells the guns. They want to know to whom they are being sold. They want to have records of as much of this as they possibly can. You've got to fill out paperwork. They got to run a background check. If you live in New Hampshire, it's not as hard to get guns here. If you're an individual, you can sell.
But governments love lists.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've tried doing this with certain kinds of code. For example, there was an encryption encryption algorithm that they outlawed for export, and some people actually wrote an implementation of the algorithm in Perl and printed it on a T-shirt, and somehow got hassled going through customs for this, and because they were wearing the T-shirt, and how the precursors to the TSA recognized it, I can't imagine. He might have told them what it was.
Interesting.
But I'm pretty sure he was hassled, and he ended up winning the case on First Amendment grounds. And so that I would be very surprised if the kind of law that they're talking about would pass constitutional muster in the United States, because they're trying to ban the very information of how this thing is constructed, the very knowledge of it.
Yeah.
And that is not normally knowledge is not something that is subject to ban.
But that's why we should be thanking protesters. People often look down their nose at the protesters. They're like, get a job. Even people that take things to court, the activists that take things to court and stuff like that, they're rarely on their side. They certainly don't contribute to them. And that's one of the reasons we should be thanking these people, is because, look, somebody's got to push back, or governments will constantly claw away your rights.
Yes.
Yeah, you think the things you say today aren't a problem, but wait until everybody stops protesting the other fringe issues that the government goes for. Then pretty soon some of the things you say will end your butt up in jail, and you'll be like, why doesn't anybody do anything for me? Because you said get a job, and that's what I did. I went out and got a job, and I stopped protesting. I stopped caring about your freedoms because you said that what I needed to do was go act like you. And you didn't do anything because you're a lazy bum and you deserve to have your rights taken away. People, the working class people in the past, had to keep their mouths shut about their rulers. They had to. They were scared for their necks.
And that's why division of labor is so important. I mean, in order to have first-line activists, people who are out there confronting the police, there has to be a second line of activists that's funding them, and that's just showing up for walk-on roles at the protests, because having a lot of people out there does make things more effective. And I do think that, the more we're protesting against the laws that exist, the less time and energy they have to push new ones.
Yep, that's absolutely true. So let me continue here with the news, and then I've actually got a related story about Cody Wilson, just to update our listeners on that and what's going on with him, because he's facing a similar situation. he's allowed to have the plans filtering about through the United States, but the U.S. government wants to prohibit people outside of the United States from getting their hands on the plans for these guns, these printable guns, these 3D printable guns. So New South Wales is banning the possession of just the plans. The guns, obviously, are going to get you in trouble, but having the plans now could bring you 14 years in prison. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts and bring up whatever's on your mind here on Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local gas station. Use the coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you will always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com. Giant, VAPES.com with coupon code FTL10.
Don't take a cold or flu lying down. Stand up and fight back with Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver is a natural immune system booster that is highly effective against viruses, bacteria, and fungus. Supernatural Silver is perfect for daily use and can be taken orally or used topically to keep you protected from whatever comes your way. This new technology is hundreds of times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver and is supported by extensive research from over 300 clinical studies at universities and independent research facilities across the country. Supernatural Silver has an exceptionally long storage life and should be an essential part of your emergency preparedness. Don't be caught off guard. Give your body the support it needs to fight off deadly pathogens that are lurking everywhere. Stock up on Supernatural Silver and give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2015 for 20% off. That's supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
Free Talk Live.
I don't care what they wrote down on pieces of paper. The fact is, this government exists through consent. It exists through mass consent because people believe in it. It's a cult. People believe in the idea that it's okay to aggress against their neighbors so long as they have a good reason for it. They believe that it's okay to aggress against their neighbors so long as a majority of people walking into some booth check a box somewhere.
People spend more time thinking about the government and pledging allegiance to the flag than they do. Many people spend more time pledging allegiance to the flag than they do praying to their God. Their religion is this government.
It's actually, if you believe in like the Christian religion and all that, putting other gods above your God is usually a pretty bad thing.
Yeah, to me, the Pledge of Allegiance is simply a prayer to the God of the government.
It's essentially religious indoctrination for the state.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is down $7 at $1,072 per ounce. Silver is 9 cents higher at $14.12 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $323 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you can find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also join us on Skype. The Skype username is lrn.fm. Here tonight, it's Ian,
Rich Paul,
and Mark.
And Rich, where can listeners find more of you on the internet?
They can find me at the Church of the Invisible Hand, which is at http://invisiblehand.church. And right there's a wiki where we're starting to flesh out theology. And there's also pointers to our Facebook page, which has more frequent updates, and it's more just little snippets of information, images, that kind of thing.
And how about ways to support your efforts?
Okay. Whenever I appear on Free Talk Live, I post it to patreon.com. That's PATREAEON. EON.com. Thank you. And /Friar Rich. And
is that linked to from the invisiblehand.church site?
It will be by the end of the night.
Okay, excellent.
And there you can pledge $1 each time I appear on Free Talk Live, and you'll get a feed that where all of the episodes that I appear on are posted.
Fantastic. Cool ways to get behind what you're doing. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. And we're talking about New South Wales banning the possession not just of 3D guns, 3D printed guns, but the possession of the files that you need to make said 3D printed gun.
Yes. Not only can you not have formed plastic here in the form, because this is what the 3D printed guns are made out of. They're just plastic. They look remarkably like toys, and you can't not just have that, but it's the whatever file there is that this comes from. I'd point out that when we make files illegal, and 3D printed guns are one of them, but child porn's another one, they can move things through the interweb tubes and put these files on your computer in certain circumstances when you didn't. And this is a way to sort of disappear people that they might want to get rid of for whatever reason.
True.
Now, obviously, I'm not apparently they don't want to get rid of me badly enough, but because they haven't done that. So, I don't know how likely it is, but it's a power you're giving the government.
Let's go to Nick. He's in Philadelphia. Nick, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Rich, and Mark.
Hi.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
I just wanted to point out that you guys were talking about how they like making lists, or they want to corner the market for guns and all that. Well, I think it has much more to do with the same reason why a mugger doesn't want his victim armed. It's easier to control people when they're not armed.
They don't want us to be able to defend ourselves from them.
Yeah.
Well, they've done a pretty good job of controlling people, even though they are armed, right? I mean, if you look at Connecticut, for instance, after the school shooting down there a year ago or whenever it was, they passed a more restrictive firearms legislation there and required that all of the people who had there were certain restrictions to where people actually had to go and turn in their guns, or else they'd have to go and get some kind of a license. And the people in Connecticut, many of them dutifully lined up and waited their turn to become licensed. Now others didn't. They didn't turn over their guns and basically became felons, just who have not been caught yet. They're
just waiting for the government to swoop in on them.
Yeah. So not everybody's totally obedient, but for the most part, the guns haven't really stopped the tyranny, have they?
Well, people got to be willing to use them, and also they have a lot better guns.
Using the guns against the government isn't going to help, right? Because they have a lot of guns. Like you said, they have better guns. And further, whenever somebody uses violence against the state, they will be used as the example of why we need the state to protect us from violent people.
Well, that depends on
1776.
Did it work in 1776? Because we got a much bigger government than King George had.
Well, but much smaller than modern England has.
I don't know. Let's take a look at Canada. Canada didn't run away, and it shows up on the World Freedom Charts. The Heritage Foundation, the Fraser Institute, is higher than the United States.
You said they didn't run away from England, you mean?
Right. Well, to best of my knowledge, there hasn't been a single revolutionary movement in Canada. And I have no idea what it is about the 49th parallel or whatever it is. I need to check that again because there's one in South Korea.
There's a Quebec secession movement.
That's true. Yeah.
They seem. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Quebec. Oh
no!
You know, when you start specifying what languages you can put your signs in, that's pretty frightening.
Is there a mandate in Quebec that all signage has to be double language?
Well, it doesn't have to be double language. It has to exist in French. You can have other languages, but they must be smaller than the French.
I see.
The fonts have to be smaller. Which I was there and I couldn't believe it. We were going to a Chinese restaurant, which made it especially glaring. That
Nick, other thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, I worked at Bundy Ranch.
What worked at Bundy Ranch?
Standing up.
Well, people were willing to die for their for the rights of that man, and they gave back the cattle, and he's still free.
When you say people were willing to die, what do you mean?
Paid.
They were willing to die.
People brandished arms in defense of that man's family and his property.
I think he's got a good point. I think that is what occurred there. I wouldn't say the guns are useless. I would say that they are a poor bulwark against the government and government intrusion and government taking our freedoms.
Guns are a last resort, but even walking around, I mean, we don't get tear gassed at rallies in New Hampshire. We don't get beaten at protests, and one of the reasons is that we're standing there with guns, and the police don't know if they're going to survive their move against us. And for that reason, I think that's a lot of the reason that we've escaped a lot of the kind of violence that you've seen against protesters all over America during Occupy Wall Street, during a lot of the unarmed protests. You're constantly seeing brutality and tear gas. Now, partially that's because New Hampshire's better than the rest of the country in a lot of ways, but I think partially it's also an offshoot of you don't want to tear gas people with guns. You don't want to panic people with guns, so it's best to let them protest and let them go home peacefully.
Yeah, and that I think you might be right that the fact that New Hampshire has a more gun freedom-oriented place could generally mean the police just behave nicer overall. I think that's generally true of the police here, and that could be one of the reasons for it. But that doesn't mean that that using the guns would actually assist in achieving liberty. I mean, I see what you're saying. That
well,
the
I would say that
them,
is.
I can see what you're saying, where the possession of them can deter infringements upon liberty. But the actual use of them, I think, jumps the shark, because then it puts you in the category of being the crazy gun nut who's shooting at the government, and that's why we need government to protect us from the crazy gun nuts.
It depends on the context of the use. If you come across two cops raping a woman and you shoot them both in the head, I think that's good PR. If you come across a couple of meter maids and shoot them, I think that's terrible PR.
You better have video of what the cops were doing beforehand, because if you just pull their pants down around their ankles, everybody's going to say that's what you did after you shot them.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I have no intention of pulling anybody's pants off, nor do I think it's likely that I'm going to. But, a lot of it might well come down to what the victim had to say and what her injuries were. But that is a situation where I think it would be healthy, and I think it would be a huge statement.
With the two guys in police uniforms and the big booby gals, like, all we were doing was shooting a scene. This guy comes up and kills the guys.
Yeah, you got to be real careful when you're exercising deadly force against people. I mean, you absolutely have to know what's going on in a situation before you take an action like that. Hey, Nick, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And you know that in that situation, they're going to prosecute you. They're going to come at you. You're going to be made to look like a murderer, because their story is going to be, well, there was no rape going on here. And, even if the woman says that there was, it could just be that you were in cahoots with her and that you were cop killers.
They'll certainly do their best.
Yeah.
You definitely want to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed if you're in a situation. Anytime that you have to use deadly force in defense of another, you had better know what's going on.
That's the difficulty, though, is that in many cases you can't know what's going on. If you walk on by,
or you have mere seconds to try to figure it out.
You walk on by. What you've said is that you know what, I'd rather trade the rape of this woman for my freedom and my comfort. So that's what we've devolved to.
Anytime you see armed people throwing bullets at unarmed people, you can pretty much assume that the guys who are shooting are in the wrong.
Watch out if they've got government uniforms on.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. The use of violence against the state, certainly not something that libertarians agree on. You can share your thoughts with us and more about 3D guns and their legal status. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, November 23rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.03 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,071 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $325. Antiwar.com reports an apparent U.S. drone strike against Somalia on Sunday killed at least 8 fighters from the al-Shabaab group in an overnight strike that targeted a longtime Shabaab base 120 kilometers northwest of the Somali capital of Mogadishu. Details are still emerging on the incident, but locals reported 3 explosions at the base, and Somali police are reporting a local al-Shabaab leader was among the slain in the attack. Al-Shabaab has not confirmed this, however. This is the latest of several U.S. drone strikes against al-Shabaab targets inside Somalia, generally aimed at leaders in the group who were linked to attacks against targets inside neighboring Kenya. There was no report that Sunday's attack targeted anyone specifically involved in that, however. U.S. drone strikes launched in Somalia are generally believed to be launched from CIA sites, and such attacks are generally not publicly commented on by U.S. officials, apart from bragging about successful assassinations. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least 1 foot of snow fell on parts of the upper Midwest on Saturday, creating potentially hazardous traveling conditions ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. The National Weather Service said a storm dumped from 8 to 16 inches of snow in a stretch between southeastern South Dakota to southern Wisconsin starting Friday. Winter weather advisories are posted for multiple parts of Michigan, including Detroit and northern Indiana. More than 11 inches of snow have fallen on Chicago since Friday, while the Sioux City, South Dakota metropolitan area had about 18 inches. Nearly 600 flights in Chicago's O'Hare International Airport were canceled, reporting 9.1 inches of snow by 7 a.m. Saturday. The storm system was moving east, bringing the cold weather towards the Great Lakes. The National Weather Service said in a statement, after the first significant snowstorm of the season for parts of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, conditions are forecast to be less active, with just some patchy areas of lake effect snow remaining. The cold front should exit the East Coast on Sunday, ushering in an even colder air mass for the beginning of the week. The Iowa Department of Transportation warned residents in Des Moines and several cities not to travel because of the winter conditions. Many vehicles have reportedly been seen in ditches, particularly near Mason City and Council Bluffs. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo released a statement warning residents to prepare for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour with the possibility of a foot of snow.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co.
Reuters reports up to 16 people were hospitalized on Sunday after a shooting at a New Orleans park where hundreds of people had gathered for the making of a music video, according to local media reports who cited police. The shooting occurred around 7 p.m. local time in Bunny Friend Park in the city's Upper Ninth Ward. The Times-Picayune newspaper quoted New Orleans Police Superintendent Michael Harrison as saying he believed multiple people had fired into the crowd of more than 300. The newspaper quoted him as saying, "I can't speak to the condition of all the victims, but no one has died at this time." 3 witnesses told the Times-Picayune they saw a man with what they believed to be a silver-colored machine gun and also heard more gunshots coming from within the crowd as he ran away. New Orleans Police Department spokesman Tyler Gamble told the New York Times that police learned from witnesses that there were 2 groups that were firing shots back and forth at each other and then ran off after each other on foot. WVUE-TV said police believed the shooting stemmed from a fight. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
From Betty Davis's first role as a piece of chocolate cake in the 1931 film Palmy Days to the discovery of Niagara Falls in 1996, The Onion looks back at this week in history. On May 16, 1929, the first Academy Awards were handed out in categories such as Greatest Achievement in Blackface, Best Catholic Whipping Scene, and Most Gorgeous Gams on a Broad. The highlight of the night occurred when Wings won the award for Best Picture without a single Dago, Tar Baby, or Wetback. And on May 15, 1940, the first McDonald's opened in San Bernardino, California, back when a young Grimace was just working as a cashier. And that was what happened this week in history. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, history is actually pretty racist.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, hour number 3, here with you. We'll take your calls about what you want to discuss. 855-450-FREE if you're in New South Wales and you are in possession of the plans for the Liberator or any other 3D printable gun, because I believe there have been a few others that have come out since the Liberator, which made headlines at least a couple years ago. I think it was 2013, maybe even 2012 when that came out. Then you are now in possession of something that could get you 14 years in prison. And we'll continue that discussion. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian.
Rich Paul.
And Mark.
Stories from computerworld.com.au. It's the provisions of the Firearms and Weapons Prohibition Legislation Amendment Bill of 2015, which adds a provision to the Weapons Prohibition Act that says that you must not possess a digital blueprint for the manufacture of a firearm on a 3D printer or on an electronic milling machine. If you do have such a provision, or rather if you do possess such a blueprint, you're looking at possible prison time of up to 14 years. Possession is defined as, quote, possession of a computer or data storage device holding or containing the blueprint of or a document in which the blueprint is recorded, or control of the blueprint held in a computer that is in the possession of another person, whether the person is in this jurisdiction or outside this jurisdiction.
How do you control a computer outside the jurisdiction?
You could have access to a server.
If
Dropbox?
They're talking about letting somebody mail the plans to your Gmail account, and then it's in your account, so you're in control of that file, but the file isn't in the same country.
Thank you.
Right, or if you, let's say, have an account on the Free Talk Live server as an administrator or something like that. That server's in Montreal. If you're in New South Wales and you have access to that server, and there's the plans for a 3D gun there.
Do you think that's legal at all? Just saying that. I mean, that seems a little odd.
They just made it legal. They passed a law.
Yeah, they can. I'm pretty sure they could arrest you for kiddie porn that was stored on a server outside the United States if they could show that the account was yours.
Okay. Kiddie porn is what you have to go back to on this, is because it's like the most illegal of computer files.
I think it's the only technically illegal computer file. I think it's the only kind of file that you may not legally possess, except possibly, stolen government secrets, like WikiLeaks would probably be in trouble.
Defenses for the offense include innocent production, dissemination, or possession, public benefits, such as enforcing or administering a state or federal law. So the law does not apply to anyone with a license to manufacture firearms or the police. So the police may possess the 3D printable firearm blueprints, but you cannot. 3dprint.com reported on the bill's passage, which was introduced to the Legislative Assembly in October, passed this month, and is now waiting for royal assent. The provisions are targeted at criminals who think they can steal or modify firearms or manufacture firearms from 3D blueprints, said the Justice Minister. Well, wait a minute. What you've just done is made everyone a criminal who's a hobbyist, because there are plenty of people who are not criminals who want to steal things. They just want to make a 3D gun because it's a cool thing. It's a neat thing to be able to make your own gun from scratch, basically. And so as long as you, it says here, criminals who think they can steal or modify firearms or manufacture firearms from 3D blueprints. So they're lumping in someone who's a hobbyist with someone who's an actual violent, dangerous criminal.
Because that's what it is. Once you break the law, they write down what the law is. Once you break the law, you're that violent, dangerous person.
And you'll all be in the same prison together.
Yeah. Turning big rocks into little rocks.
In 2013, the New South Wales Police issued a warning about the potential of 3D printed firearms to catastrophically misfire. The police revealed that they had created and tested 2 3D printed firearms based on the Liberator pistol blueprints produced by U.S. firm Defense Distributed. That's the company owned by Cody Wilson, who we spoke of earlier. A federal parliamentary inquiry earlier this year recommended the federal and state governments look into uniform regulations covering 3D printing of firearms. So at first, the government releases a press release saying, be careful, these guns could be dangerous. And okay, that's a fair thing to do. They could be dangerous. You're not supposed to fire these things very many times. Like, the more you fire one of these 3D printed guns, the more dangerous it's likely to become. The more likely you're going to have some sort of a failure on your hands that could result in possibly you hurting yourself.
Yeah, but a failure is, so there's a failure, and then there's a failure where you hurt yourself. Consider that these are modern bullets in this gun, and it's it's set up so a nail strikes the back of the bullet. The bullet, in all likelihood, if you tapped it with a hammer and an awl, you could fire the bullet without a gun at all, right? And it's going to probably
go in
some general
blows
direction.
up, then that could be a problem, right?
Why would the gun blow up?
Shoddy construction, just become weak after you fired a whole 10 rounds through it. Yeah.
Okay, because the
like
bullet's not going to explode.
No, I don't think the bullet would explode. I think that the gun itself can become shrapnel, and a plastic gun probably more so than a metal one.
All right.
So the more firing you do of one of these guns, the closer and closer you're getting to some sort of inevitable failure.
Yeah, I've seen the second one of these things created. The first one being Cody's. The first one that was disseminated out there, and it it had never been fired, so it was in good shape.
So in a dissenting report, coalition senators and Liberal Democratic Party Senator David Leonhelm argued that existing laws were adequate for dealing with the issue. So at first, it's a warning that these things could be dangerous, and now it's just an all-out prohibition. It's obviously not to protect people, right? Like, if there was danger from these firearms of a significant amount, you'd probably hear stories about people blowing their hands up or, doing some sort of damage to themselves. There'd be stories in the news everywhere about how these 3D printed firearms were hurting people that didn't intend, they didn't intend to get hurt by it. They were just hobbyists who were trying to have a little bit of fun and experiment with this new thing.
You can believe the news would be happy to tell us about these terrible incidents where people got hurt.
Right, when
absolutely.
some drunken
and
fool...
the plans aren't going to print themselves. I mean, they've outlawed the actual knowledge of the geometry of the gun, as if the knowledge of the geometry could harm you. Obviously, no file that you just have on your computer, regardless of what's in it, can harm you.
Yeah, exactly. And just like the stories on the 4th of July here in the United States, or Independence Day, of people blowing themselves up with fireworks. You remember the one where the guy put that was this? I think it was this year, where some drunken college student in Maine set one of those rocket thingies on his head or whatever.
That was a Roman candle.
Yeah, there you go, Roman candle. He set that on his head and ultimately died because of what happened.
Praise Darwin.
Yeah. Well, right, but in that case, we heard about that,
But the sad part about it is his mother is on there, and what they don't want is they don't want their son being sort of giggled about on the news and that kind of thing, but.
They don't want what I just did.
They don't. But, the thing is do kids learn if they don't hear the news story, and if they, if everybody's
kids don't hear the news,
how solemn it is, they might be riding the car with their parents.
Yeah, I mean, if you put a video of on YouTube of somebody, killing himself with a
if there was
firework,
video, the kids will see that. No, I agree with you. If there's video of some guy dying because of a firework, kids will watch that. But the kids generally don't watch the news. They don't read the newspaper. They don't watch the news for the most part. I mean, when I was a kid and the news was on my grandparents' house, I didn't care about that. That meant nothing
I watched
to me.
The news.
My son comments on it.
I watched the news every day.
As a kid?
Yeah.
And you were actually into it?
As a teenager,
you're the exception,
I would
not
say.
the rule.
Well, I've always been exception.
There you go. Didn't you tell us that when you were 13, no one could really understand you? Like you were too advanced, too intelligent for the other kids?
Yeah, I was just a little bit ahead. I had a 23-year-old girlfriend because I couldn't find another girl who could grok me. I was kind of...
So you're definitely ahead of your time, I would say.
I hope so. My time sucks.
So our toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. Cody Wilson is the guy who created the 3D printable gun. He was the first one to get to the market with it. Now there have been some others since then, from what I understand, but none of them really hit it big like the Liberator. And now that it's illegal in New South Wales, you may be wondering what the legal status of it here is in the United States. At this point, they haven't yet prohibited the possession of it, but distributing it, on the other hand, we'll talk about it. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at giantvapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from giantvapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's giantvapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door, but police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes, and intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use door armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, door armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your door armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to InvasionStopper.com now. That's InvasionStopper.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa, Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this hospital.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait on account. Now. Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me.
What am I being
detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. Our toll-free number for you, it's 855-450-FREE. Are you scared of 3D printable guns? Well, apparently they're scared.
I can't imagine anybody is.
Apparently they're scared in New South Wales. Well, yeah, Mark, there's plenty of people who don't like guns. Lots of people don't like guns.
They don't like guns, but I mean, you know, where's the liquor store that's been robbed by one of these things?
It hasn't happened.
I mean, I can't imagine you going in and trying to rob a liquor store with one of these things.
Someone will laugh at you because it looks like a toy.
Right. They're not frightening in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't even look like guns particularly.
Yeah, it really is a bizarre-looking device, but it will shoot you.
I don't know that anyone has been killed by one of these, that anyone has been harmed by one of these things.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know that the testing that has been done is usually done on a machine. So, like the police in New South Wales did print some of their own Liberator pistols and then
they're probably the only ones in New South Wales that have.
I don't know about that, but they did.
I mean,
sure
you got to
somebody
have one
has-
of these consumer-level 3D printing
More
devices.
people have these things, Mark. I mean, our friend James Davis, who's one of our kind of behind-the-scenes helpers behind the show, he's got one. He's been playing with his kids and printing all kinds of stuff. So,
I just said probably.
But they're becoming more and more prolific. I mean, 3D printing devices are more affordable now than they've ever been. I don't know what the current rates are for them, but I've heard they're even selling them in like office supply stores now. So it's not like it used to be, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago with the 3D printers. So the Liberator, but anyway, a lot of people who've been doing testing on these are not willing to put their hands on them to fire them. So they've come up with mechanisms like machines that can pull the trigger and hold the gun just so they can test and make sure that there's some level of safety to these. And anyway, we were talking about Cody Wilson, and I want to continue. He's the guy who created the plans that are now prohibited in New South Wales. So if you possess the plans for this 3D printed gun, then that will result in your going to prison in New South Wales.
As a matter of fact, if you want to get a 3D printing device, I'll bet you anything you can get it on Amazon.
Sure.
And if you want to get it on Amazon and you want to get it at a discount of anything that's on Amazon, between 15 and 40%. I like to say 20, 25, 30%, somewhere in between 20 and 30%.
I've heard that it's harder to get the larger discounts on higher priced items.
It may be true, but I have gotten a discount of 45% on a little Lego toy that my son bought.
I just typed up 3D printer, Mark, into Amazon. They've got one for $363.
If you want a 30% discount on that, you can go to saveitpurse.com, sign up for an account, and fund it with Bitcoin. That's the trick. You got to use Bitcoin. But this is all the reason why, all the better reason why you should now get into this amazing new international currency, this new cashless, digital currency, Bitcoin, because now you can get huge savings at Amazon. SaveAtPurse.com is how you do it. You go there, reserve your account now, fund it with Bitcoin, SaveAtPurse.com.
There's another one for $309. I mean, you're talking about a few $100 for one of these 3D printers. So back to the story here. Cody Wilson is the creator of Defense Distributed. That's the company that has put out the plans for the Liberator pistol. Now, if you were listening to the show back in August, you probably heard us discussing the latest on this. There hasn't been an update since then, but since we're on the topic, I want to bring anybody who's new to this discussion up to speed. The United States State Department has brought a suit against, Cody brought a suit against the United States State Department because they put an injunction against him, essentially preventing him from distributing the Liberator files online. He's prohibited in the United States, where there's supposedly freedom of speech, from putting a file for public download on his website. And the reason why, as you may recall, is because the U.S. government has rules that restrict the export of guns. So there are certain international rules that they've created that say that, if you're a gun manufacturer in the United States, that you can't distribute in certain ways, et cetera, et cetera. And they're basically putting the Liberator and the plans for it. It's a 3D printable gun. They're putting the plans for the Liberator. They're saying their regulations about distribution internationally of firearms applies to the plans for the Liberator. So they have ordered Cody to take those a couple of years ago. Actually, they ordered Cody to take the plans down from his website. And ever since then, Cody has now filed suit to get a counter injunction to have that lifted to where he can then once again use his freedom of speech, because your freedom of speech should include people listening outside of the United States. Basically, the U.S. is saying, Cody, you can give away your plans for your 3D printable gun inside the United States, but if someone outside of the United States can download it, then it's a violation of our regulations. So you need to stop.
Yeah, that happened with the PGP encryption software, and somebody solved that problem by just somebody who was not a U.S. national obtained the PGP source code and started offering it for download on a server that was not in the United States. And then all of a sudden it was available to the whole world. And then every time PGP was updated, he updated his. So it's not an insurmountable thing, but it's a stupid kind of restriction to put on things, partially because it's so easily bypassed.
Right.
So long as you can contact anybody in the United States and have a little bit of Bitcoin, you can get it. Anybody in the United States who knows how to download something and likes Bitcoin. Who doesn't like Bitcoin?
Bankers. A lot of old school money
bankers. Are adopting the blockchain technology for what they're doing.
But their own blockchain technology.
Bitcoin's coming whether they like it or not. Yeah, I got it. They are adopting their own blockchain technology, giving validity to Bitcoin's blockchain technology.
Yeah. And there's room for more than one blockchain out there, even in the long haul. I'm sure there will be a lot of very specified, specific ones, just like there are a variety of different other kinds of money transfer systems.
We'll talk more about Cody Wilson and Defense Distributed here in a moment. James is on the line in Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, James.
It'd be nice to have a conversation about morality and ethics with Rich Paul. But, Ian, you mentioned something funny that you accused this Keene of libeling your Peter Pan Robin Hooder, Kool and the Gang.
Accused the city of Keene.
Yes, you did. That's a serious allegation.
Yeah, it's libel when you tell lies in print about somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know what it is. Maybe a lot of your listeners don't, but I do. So if I were on a jury and we found the city of Keene guilty of libeling you and your Peter Pan Robin Hooders, what redress should you be entitled to from the city of Keene if it were easily shown that you were lied to about in print?
I'd like a public apology.
That's thing you should say. Just a public apology?
Yeah, that's all.
Really?
And
well,
we might let Tinkerbell turn them into fairies.
Libeled by you.
What do you think? I'm some sort of money-grubbing, greedy person? I don't care about all that. I'm not going to claim.
I'm a money-grubbing, greedy person, but I'm not a party to the suit.
And anyway,
well, they said all Robin Hooders are threatening, intimidating, and harassing, Rich. So
I don't believe your answer, by the way, Ian. I'm calling you a liar on public airways.
Okay.
By the way,
well, thanks for the call. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I have actually, let's see, I think it was Daryl who actually sued the city in court after they raided his house when he was living at the Keene Activist Center. And all he was asking for was an apology. But, of course, they kicked the suit out, and he never won. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The government hates to apologize. They
do.
855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
There are hundreds of silver products on the market today, but there's nothing like the astonishing health benefits of the multi-patented One Silver Solution. Boost your immune system at a great price with our Silver Solution Liquid, starting at $12.95 a bottle. Now available in regular and extra strength. That's half the price of the leading competitors. Call 844-USILVER for your free catalog, or go to OneSilverSolution.com. OneSilverSolution.com. There is only one Silver Solution.
This is a national health care alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. So if you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have other pain-relieving braces too for your shoulder, ankle, or back. You may be eligible to get these items and more at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to help you, so please call now. 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM. So feel free to reach out in that way if you'd like. We're talking about 3D printable guns. They're in the news again now with New South Wales, Australia, banning their, I mean, it's almost done. It's almost a done deal. They're waiting for what's called a royal assent, which I guess is the same thing as like a, the president signing something. Anyway, they're banning it. They're banning the possession of the plans that you need to make a 3D printed gun. So just having the plans, having the information is prohibited there. And I guess they don't have any kind of freedom of speech in Australia. That must not be a thing there, I suppose. But also in the United States, there are some serious concerns with 3D printable firearms and their regulation. We'll get into that. Also want you to know about Liberty Health Share. Mark, you and your family signed up for this. Why?
Yeah, well, what it is it's a health sharing program. It's probably a good idea to have a health care program. Certainly the government has mandated it at this point, or you pay a fine. And Liberty Health Share fills all that. And it does it for my family at less than half the cost of an insurance company. So, I can choose my doctor, I can choose my hospital. Like Obama promised me, and you can't. I can. So, but for me, it's what I was looking for. You can go to joinlhs.com, and I recommend you do if you have to pay for your own health insurance. If you, for whatever reason, you work for yourself, or you're in a company where you've got to buy your own health insurance, joinlhs.com could be the solution for you. It certainly was for me. And I've got a telephone number for you, too, in case you can't get to a computer. 800-722-8041. 800-722-8041. JoinLHS.com.
All right, so an update here from 3dprint.com on Cody Wilson. For those of you who haven't been following this story, he's the guy who put out the plans for the Liberator, the world's first 3D printable gun. And shortly thereafter, after successfully test firing a working version of the Liberator, the response from the United States government was swift. Wilson was ordered to remove the files from the internet, citing two obscure regulations that prevented the international export of unapproved firearms. Despite the legality of their order being questionable at best, Wilson complied and spent the next 2 years trying to get the proper documentation to allow his files to be put back online. Now, I wonder why he just went ahead and did what they told him to do.
It's probably what his lawyer recommended.
It probably was, but I don't think he was under a court order in that case. I think it was just this regulatory bureaucracy wrote to him and said, like, if you don't remove these files, you may be found in violation of the international whatever. I guess it's a way to avoid the criminal charges.
Well, that's a threat.
Yeah.
And it's between the lines that we're going to come after you when you get one of those nasty grams from the government. So a lot of people just don't want to take the risk because they've heard about a lot of unfair and completely unpredictable things happening to other people in the news where I can't believe they arrested this guy. And you say, well, I'm not going to push it. It has a chilling effect on your
free speech.
On your free speech.
Because now he's been struggling for 2 years in court to try to get permission to exercise his freedom of speech. Because his speech was the plans for a gun, he's being told he can't say that in the United States. So, it's not as bad as New South Wales.
Well, he
but
can't
it's
say
close.
that from inside the United States to outside the United States.
That's correct. And by default, your internet connection is available to everybody outside of the United States. So therefore, he's prohibited from putting these plans on the internet.
Oh, I could do it easily. You can put in a simple country code recognizer. Now, it will only react to what country your browser claims to be in.
Well, right. You can be on ProXPN and then use a virtual private network and then appear that you're in the United States.
Or you could even just tell your browser to lie. But you don't have to. A lot of times, if somebody circumvents your computer system from outside the United States, even if it's trivially easy to circumvent it, it may well be that because they circumvented a system you had in place, however bad it was, you're not liable for their having gotten the file. So it may be that he just would need to make a token effort to restrict it to the United States, and that would be sufficient. You can't necessarily advertise your MP3 files for download legally, but if you got a big bunch of them on your web server and you haven't bothered to password protect them and you're not promoting it, you're probably not going to get in any trouble, even if somebody technically breaks in and downloads them. Just put up a notice saying you can't do that. It's not allowed.
Well, now, the reality is, the old Streisand effect, as they call it on the internet, named after when Barbara Streisand got upset about something.
I think it was her house being shown on views, like by Google Maps or something like something.
I don't remember what it was, but she was upset about someone posting something somewhere about her, and she got all upset. And then, of course, the fact that she got upset resulted in more people going to find it and copy it and repost it. So the plans are out there. The Liberator 3D gun, the 3D printable gun, the plans are out there. All you have to do is go to find them is go to thepiratebay.la. This is the website. You go there and you type in Liberator gun. And then you will find there are at least a few different copies of it there with, in one case, one of them has 19 seeds. The other one has 15 seeds, which is the seeds of the number of people who have the entire file that they are sharing to the world.
34 people currently internationally are sharing this file, which really hasn't gotten that much news in the recent past. If it became a big issue, you can believe that that number would increase by a couple of factors.
Here's a question to bake your noodle. Did you just technically export a plan to make that gun by explaining how to download it in order to make it? Yeah. That could be considered a part of a plan to make the gun. So that's the kind of unintended consequences you can run into with this sort of law.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks for giving the feds listening an idea. Appreciate that.
It will make great radio if they come in and do this. We'll get Napolitano on it. It'll be worth it, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean our biggest ratings in the history of Free Talk Live was when I went to jail. So, anyway,
so we're willing to make that sacrifice.
Right. Like I need to explain to someone, you can use Google to find the plans for the 3D gun because they're out there. It's not hard to find these plans, but yet Wilson, the creator of these plans, is the one with the injunction, or I'm sorry, it's not an injunction. It was a threatening letter. He wants the injunction. Wilson has filed suit claiming the State Department's order was a violation of his First Amendment rights. His suit was backed by the Second Amendment Foundation, and along with his lawsuit, he requested an injunction against their order. So he wants the court to rule that the order should be suspended, basically. The injunction claimed Wilson had already lost 2 years of potential revenue due to their order, and when he gave his decision on the injunction, Judge Pittman was quite clear that he didn't believe that Wilson and his legal team had proven their case. So the lower court, the district court, refused to issue the injunction. He is now appealing to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in the hopes of overturning the lower court's ruling. So this thing is still working. I don't believe the Fifth Circuit has yet heard arguments in the case, but certainly as we hear more about this, we'll definitely let you know. While many see Wilson's lawsuit as primarily a Second Amendment issue, the case is far larger and could have a potentially massive ripple effect within both the United States and the 3D printing industry. Wilson is claiming that by preventing him from distributing the digital files of the Liberator, that his right to free speech is being denied. And honestly, the article's author here at 3dprint.com says he has a hard time disagreeing. Wilson isn't distributing weapons. He's simply giving away digital files that can be used to make weapons. Contrary to the belief of many, it's perfectly legal to manufacture weapons at home without a license for personal use, and it's perfectly legal to post plans to make your own firearms online. Well, at least it was. And now this State Department is arguing that it's not legal to post those plans
They don't
online.
have to write a law. They just have to reinterpret the ones they've got.
Yep, that's true. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your thoughts on 3D printed guns, if you want to share them. And there's good news coming out of Alaska about marijuana. It's Free Talk Live.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1G 2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1G 2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us right here. Toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. Tonight, you've got Ian,
Rich Paul,
and Mark.
To the phones, to the fun. Let's talk to Glenn in Philly. Glenn, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
About this Liberator, I'm thinking about things such as heat, friction, pressure, velocity. What kind of materials are we talking about here, and what can this thing endure? And I'm wondering, and then also, even if people make the gun, they still have to acquire ammunition. And and I'm wondering, after a few of these things blow up and liberate their users of their lives, this whole equation could change in terms of all the legalities. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, it's 3D printed out of plastic.
It's hard plastic, yeah.
And there are different types of plastic out there. You would really have to download the actual specifications for the machine and find out, what kind of plastic do you want to, do you have to put in there. And there will be engineering specifications on that plastic showing its various elements of its strength that hopefully somebody has properly done the calculations, but you would never really know until you printed one out and
fired it.
There are ways to rig a gun to fire without it being in a person's hand.
Correct.
And I would recommend doing that a couple of times with maybe a couple different iterations before you actually fire one that is in your hand, because there's definitely going to be some risk involved.
Well, it seems to me, I'm picturing, mattress testing commercials that show machines compressing mattresses repeatedly until, or things. I'm thinking there should be some testing of how many times this thing can fire before it explodes in your face. It seems to me like this, some testing with, somebody get a lot of 100 of these things and start putting rounds through them, and then see how long before they fail.
Well, they have been doing that. I mean, just to be clear, they've been doing that, and these guns are not recommended to fire beyond a couple of shots.
Well, the name Liberator harkens back to a gun that could be fired one time. So
Right.
I think that's
the
the
gun
idea.
could be fired more than one time, but you had to unscrew something and put the new bullet in and screw it back in.
Okay.
But it wasn't really recommended for more than one use. So it was a very similar situation.
Right. It was unreliable the first time the Liberator, the original Liberator was, and this one might actually be more reliable the first time. But I'd get pretty nervous after putting just one round through something made out of plastic.
Yeah. Well, it's a matter of your tactical situations. If that's the only weapon you have,
that's true.
Under certain circumstances, you might risk putting another round through it. But if you have a chance to get another one, I'd recommend it if you fired your Liberator one.
You'd be better off having 5 different Liberators around the house and grabbing one as you needed it. Or
Well, and hopefully when you used it against an armed threat, and you now have the arms formerly owned by that armed threat.
Glenn, any other thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking it, better be up close and personal, and it'd be nice to know if it's going to, at least that when it works dependably that first time, And so you're talking, and hope that there's not more than one assailant. But
anyway. I wouldn't recommend this in lieu of a good firearm.
Yeah, this is something that you're using once in a pinch to secure a firearm in a revolutionary situation.
This is something to screw with the government bureaucrats, and it just makes them crazy.
Well, that's true, but it is also something for people in parts of the world where getting a gun may be a little bit difficult, right?
But getting a 3D printer isn't.
Well, right. 3D
Usually,
printers
if
may
you're
not
in that
be
part of the
restricted.
world, it's hard to get. If you need to overthrow a tyrannical regime, chances are you can't afford a 3D printer.
I'm not talking about necessarily a tyrannical regime. Guns are banned in Japan.
Well, wait a minute. Don't we live under a tyrannical regime?
Well, like I said, they're still going to have to get ammunition too.
That's true. That's a good point.
And there are auto pistols and revolvers. This is more like a devolver.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. I appreciate it. Well, I get what he's saying. Like, from the guns that we have, this is a devolution. But from the idea of you can create your own weapon, this is definitely an evolution. I mean, it's a totally new idea.
Yeah, I think. It's not going to be your top quality. This is not going to be your range gun. Okay, if your expectations are irrational, if that's what you're looking for, it's a pinch gun. It's the Derringer in your underwear that just happened to save your life that one time.
It's a little too bulky to slide into your underwear. I think it's a little boxy.
Right, but a Derringer isn't your range gun either. Is my point. It's not the gun you want to use in combat. It's the gun that. Somebody catches you literally with your pants down and you still have it.
So here's a little bit of good news. Obviously, the situation with the Defense Distributed and the 3D gun, not in a good state at the moment. They're waiting on the Fifth Circuit of Appeals to hear the case. That has not happened yet. So the case has been docketed as of late August. It was docketed in late August. They haven't heard anything yet there. Here's a story, though, that is good news from copblock.org. The Marijuana Control Board in Alaska has now approved a measure as of Friday that would permit on-site consumption of marijuana in some of the retail stores that sell it. Colorado, Washington, and Oregon have all legalized recreational use of the drug, but have either banned or not expressly allowed public use, making Alaska the first state in the United States to take steps that would sanction use outside of private residences.
Now that's a double-edged sword. It sounds good, but at the same time,
you have to leave your house.
As soon as something is acknowledged in the law, it's regulated by the law.
That's true.
And so this could be a double-edged measure, but please read on.
The original bill, which passed last November in the state, allowed recreational use of marijuana by individuals 21 years or older in private residences, but banned public consumption. Original bill, I thought Alaska was a ballot measure. Wasn't Alaska a ballot measure to pass?
I can't remember.
Marijuana?
It sounds right when you say it, but
regulators adopted an emergency regulation when the law was taking effect that defined public as a place where the public or a large group of people have access. But the 3-2 vote on Friday redefines public to allow for certain retail outlets. Retailers would be required to create a separate. Maybe it was one of those things where the ballot measure passed and then they had to pass some sort of law.
They had to do a bill to.
Retailers would be required to create a separate location for marijuana to be consumed, however, and it does not allow for consumption in the same area that the drug is sold. Quote from Bruce Schultz, the board chairman. You look at the alcohol consumption industry, there's bars, restaurants, other types of facilities where you can go in and consume alcoholic beverages on site. There's a fairly large voice from the public for having some facility for cannabis use. So-called marijuana social clubs are still illegal, says the board, and local indoor smoking bans still apply. In the wake of legalization last year, several clubs where individuals could bring their own marijuana to consume were opened, but were later deemed to be a public place and therefore were illegal and were raided by police. In August, the board moved outright to ban the clubs, but the decision was met with strong disapproval by residents of the state. The board maintained the original legalization bill only allowed for 4 types of licenses: retail, cultivation, manufacturing, and testing facilities, and they said they didn't have the authority to create additional license for social clubs. The new amendment is an attempt to create a place to use marijuana under the guise of retail license provision by excluding vendors from the public space definition. Sounds awfully confusing, but if this ends up happening, and it sounds like it's moving towards being a thing, it is, as Copblock points out here, a step in the right direction from outright prohibition of marijuana use in retail outlets by recognizing that privately owned businesses are indeed not public spaces. They're private spaces that mostly are open to the public upon the discretion of the owners.
Right. I think that's a big difference in a definition. Calling a business a public space, just erodes the terminology public as though it needs any more erosion. I mean, a public school is owned by the government. A private school is owned by private individuals and can therefore choose not to allow people in.
The amended Alaska provision will now go to the Department of Law for review before heading to the desk of Lieutenant Governor Byron Mallett for final approval. So keep your fingers crossed there in Alaska. You might actually end up having pot bars before you know it, which I think would be a wonderful thing to have happen, which, of course, may lead to more people being pulled over for driving while under the influence. So that might be the other side of this, Rich Paul, is the police may target marijuana bars in the same way that they're targeting bars with alcohol.
I just read today that Colorado juries are nullifying DWI cases involving marijuana.
Yep, I actually had that story too. Maybe we'll talk about it another night, but we will see you tomorrow online. In the meantime, check out our brand new website at freetalklive.com. And if you love the show, you like what we're doing here, then please become an amplifier. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. It's only $5 a month. You get some cool perks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is down $7 at $1,072 per ounce. Silver is 9 cents higher at $14.12 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $323 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you can find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm. The latest edition of Lions of Liberty is next on the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm. Get more at lionsofliberty.com.
Today's episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast contains extensive use of adult language, so be forewarned and maybe hide the kids for this one.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Mark Claire.
Hey there, folks. Welcome on back to the 160th episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast. I'm so pleased to have you here on this Thanksgiving week, and we recently had a little Thanksgiving celebration with our friends at the Johnny Rocket Launchpad, and we went on for so long that I had to break it up into two parts for you. So today you're going to get part one of the Lions of Liberty Johnny Rocket Launchpad Thanksgiving special. Take it away, Johnny.
I used to work for the liquor stores, and I was amazed at how many adult men would come into the store to buy their bottle every single day, and they all had the EBT card in their wallet when they flipped it open.
That's crazy.
That's hot. That's so hot.
You're so hot when you walk in with your EBT card.
Yeah,
you
baby.
old fuck.
I make the max. I get $7.87 a month, girl.
You're an alcoholic and you have welfare?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Information is free.
The law will put
There is
The Johnny Rocket Launchpad. And now, here's Johnny.
Hey, it's Johnny Rocket here, the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. Always launching ideas in your direction. Your Northwest only rock and roll libertarian radio show. I'm here with my co-host, Mr.